King was really great all 3 games. He was very consistent. You know, numbers-wise, he didn't score as much as Barford, but he was phenomenal. He was a guy that we knew was a very solid player. At Colorado, he only attempted about 10 shots a game, so he was never a big scorer in college. He was always a guy who added to the team in numerous ways. Here, for whatever reason, he got in a groove from three-point range, which we had not seen a ton of when he was in college, and he still did all the other great things that he does to help his team. He rebounded, he defended more than one position, he was in the passing lanes getting steals and blocks. He did everything. I mean, he threw the kitchen sink at the opponents because he did a little bit of everything. And he did that at Colorado. I guess here, he just added more of those three-pointers. That was more in evidence, and so his scoring average was more prominent. But King, the more I watched him, and I've watched him plenty in college, but when I was watching him this week, the guy he brought to mind for me was Shawn Marion, who's a borderline Hall of Fame, player who was in the NBA for, I think, 15 years, very successful player. They're about the same size. They both have a wingspan that belies their height because those guys have a wingspan of 7 feet, even though they're 6'7" in height. So they play a lot bigger. You know, when you talk about wingspan, the reason NBA people care about that is because if you're 6'7" but you have a 7-foot wingspan, you play more like a 7-footer than a 6'7" guy because you can block shots and get rebounds with your long arms. And King seemed to be all over the place. I mean, he made plays in every part of the court. And by that I mean, sure, he defended his man wherever his man was, but it seemed like if there was help defense that was needed on the baseline, there he was. If there was a pick and roll out high and you needed a strong hedge against a guard, George King was there. He seemed to be guarding the guy who was setting the pick, so he came out and contained the guard and didn't allow penetration. When there was a lazy cross-court pass, guess who was in the passing lane to step up and steal that? It was George King, and then there was a dunk on the other end. So George King there seemed to be 2 George Kings on the court. He was all over the place, making plays in every way possible. You know, I think that with King, you hear this cliche, plug and play. He's a guy who, with the things that he does, he could play on any NBA team. Doesn't matter what kind of system you're running. You're running a half-court team, he can help you. You're running a full-speed team that wants to push the ball. You're running a three-point shooting team like Houston or something. He's a plug-and-play guy. You could put that guy on any one of 30 teams, and he can help you out doing something.
He fits the versatile mode that people are looking for.
Yeah, he's that medium-sized guy who's strong enough to guard 4s who are bigger than him, true 4s, in that 6'9", 6'10" range. Plus, he moves his feet well enough to be able to guard guards. Yeah. You see him on the pick and roll, and there's a 6'3" guard who's kind of quick. This guy shuts that guy down. Yeah. I mean, as Mike Morris mentioned earlier, he took his turn guarding Jalen Barford, who's a tough guy to guard because he's only 6'3", but he's so powerful. Yeah. And King really did a good job on him for the majority of that game, and that's a hard thing to do when you're a taller guy to stay with a small guy who's quick. He did it.